Have you ever felt lost, like you were wandering through life with no clear direction? Have you ever looked for peace in a world that keeps pulling you in every direction at once? Have you ever longed for someone who truly knows you, protects you, and leads you home? Psalm 23 verse 1 begins with words so familiar yet so deep that they echo through centuries. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. In those few words, David captures one of the most beautiful truths about who God is. A shepherd who cares, guides, protects, and provides. But this isn't just an ancient poem. It's a personal declaration of faith and trust. It's the voice of someone who has walked through valleys, faced enemies, known hunger, fear, and loneliness, and still says, I shall not want. When we call Jesus the shepherd, we are declaring that we are not alone. We are not left to wander aimlessly. We are not forgotten. He knows every one of his sheep, not as a crowd, but as individuals. Every name, every scar, every fear. The image of the shepherd was common in David's time. Shepherds weren't glamorous or powerful. They were ordinary people, living among the sheep, guiding them, feeding them, protecting them. They smelled like the flock because they stayed close. That's why this image is so powerful. It's intimate, not distant. The shepherd doesn't lead from far away. He walks with his sheep. Jesus later identified himself with these words in John 10:11. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. He didn't just care for the flock, he gave himself for it. That is love in its purest form. Sacrificial, protective, unconditional. When David said, the Lord is my shepherd, he wasn't writing from comfort, he was writing from experience. He had been hunted, betrayed, exiled. He had fought lions and giants, seen the rise and fall of kingdoms. Yet through it all, he found peace, not in power, but in God's presence. He had learned that the shepherd provides everything the soul truly needs. Shepherd means more than someone who leads. It means someone who sees. In a world that moves fast and often overlooks the broken, Jesus notices you. When no one else understands the pain you carry, he does. When others see only failure, he sees potential. When others move on, he stays. Psalm 23 is not just about the care of the shepherd, it's about the closeness of the relationship. Notice how personal it is. My shepherd. Not a shepherd, not the shepherd of Israel, but my shepherd. This is faith that's not borrowed or theoretical. It's personal, alive, real. To say the Lord is my shepherd means surrender. It means letting go of control. Sheep don't decide where to go. They trust the shepherd's voice. That's difficult for us because we love control. We plan, predict, and prepare. But peace isn't found in control, it's found in trust. When Jesus is your shepherd, you can rest knowing he sees the road ahead, even when you don't. The shepherd knows the dangers before they appear. He leads to still waters not by chance, but by wisdom. The pastures he chooses may not look green at first, but in time they prove to be perfect. He makes me lie down in green pastures. Sheep only lie down when they feel completely safe, free from hunger, fear, or friction. That's what the presence of Jesus does for us. It quiets the restless heart. It stills the anxious mind. It says, you don't have to fight for what I've already promised. He leads me beside still waters. Not raging currents, not chaotic waves, still waters. Peace that doesn't depend on the absence of storms, but on the presence of the shepherd. When everything else feels uncertain, his voice reminds you, I am here. He restores my soul. The word restore in Hebrew means to bring back, to repair, to renew. It's what a shepherd does when a sheep is cast down, flipped onto its back, unable to get up. The shepherd gently lifts it, massages its legs, restores its breath, and helps it stand again. That's what Jesus does when we fall. He doesn't leave us broken, he restores. He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. The shepherd doesn't just lead us to safety, he leads us to sanctity. His goal is not just our comfort, but our character. Every valley, every turn, every delay has purpose. When you follow Jesus, your path may not be straight, but it is always right, because he leads it. Even when David walked through the valley of the shadow of death, he said, I will fear no evil. Notice, he didn't say if I walk, but when. Valleys are inevitable, but fear is optional when the shepherd walks with you. Shadows may look frightening, but they can't hurt you when the light is near. The closer you are to the shepherd, the less power fear has. You are with me. That's the turning point of Psalm 23. Up to this point, David talked about God. He makes me lie down, he leads me, he restores me. But in the valley, the language shifts. Now he speaks to God, you are with me. It's often in our darkest places that God becomes most personal. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. The rod was for protection, to drive away predators. The staff was for guidance, to pull the sheep back when they wandered. One defended, the other directed. That's how Jesus cares for us. He protects us from what would destroy us and gently corrects us when we drift away. Then David says something even more powerful. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. The shepherd doesn't just protect you from the battle, he blesses you during it. He doesn't remove your enemies, he redeems the moment. While fear expects defeat, faith expects a feast. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Shepherds would pour oil on a sheep's head to protect it from flies and infections, tiny irritations that could drive the sheep mad. Isn't that what God does for us? He anoints our minds with peace so that the small frustrations of life don't destroy our joy. His blessings aren't scarce, they overflow. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. In Hebrew, the word follow actually means pursue. God's goodness doesn't just trail behind you, it chases you. Even when you run, even when you stray, mercy is faster. You can't outrun grace. And finally, I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. The journey of the shepherd always leads home. The goal is not the pasture, it's his presence. That's where peace becomes permanent. The heart of this psalm is not about sheep, it's about relationship. It's about knowing that no matter how chaotic life becomes, you have a shepherd who never leaves. Jesus, the good shepherd, knows his sheep by name. He doesn't drive them with fear, he leads them with love. When one is lost, he leaves the 99 to find it. That's the gospel. A God who doesn't wait for us to come back, but comes searching. We are all, in some way, that one lost sheep, wandering, distracted, easily frightened. But Jesus doesn't scold or punish, he carries. He lifts us onto his shoulders and brings us home, rejoicing. That's what grace looks like, strength wrapped in compassion. And when the storms come, and they will, he stands between you and danger. He doesn't promise to remove the wolves, but he promises to protect you through them. When you can't find your way, he whispers, follow me. When you're too weak to walk, he carries you. When you fall, he restores you. The shepherd's voice still calls today. You can hear it in the quiet of prayer, in the pages of scripture, in the peace that comes after surrender. He doesn't shout, he speaks gently to those who are still enough to listen. The world tells you to be your own guide, but life without the shepherd is exhausting, endless striving with no rest. When you try to lead yourself, you end up lost. But when you let Jesus lead, even the wilderness becomes holy ground. His leadership is not forceful, but faithful. He doesn't drive you forward with fear, he draws you forward with love. That's why Psalm 23 begins with confidence. The Lord is my shepherd. And it ends with assurance. I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Between those two truths lies every moment of the believer's journey. Provision, protection, peace, and promise. If you've been wandering, come home to the shepherd. If you've been tired, rest in his care. If you've been afraid, remember who walks beside you. Jesus doesn't just care for his sheep. He knows their voice, their weakness, their story, and he never gives up on them. When he said, I am the good shepherd, he wasn't offering comfort for a moment. He was declaring a truth for eternity. The shepherd still calls, the flock still follows, the promise still stands. No matter what valley you're walking through today, no matter what you've lost or feared, his voice still whispers, you are mine. The shepherd doesn't lose track of his sheep, and he will not lose you. Thank you for watching Holy Path Insights. If this message touched your heart, please like, share, and follow the channel for more reflections of faith. May the peace of the shepherd lead you beside still waters, restore your soul, and remind you daily that you are never alone in his care.